Dangerous diseases that were eradicated. Number 1. Smallpox. Smallpox is considered one of the most dangerous diseases of all time. It has been eradicated from the world due to a large-scale immunization program. Smallpox caused high fevers and a rash that covered the entire body. It was highly contagious and could often lead to death. In the 20th century, there were an estimated 300 to 500 million cases of smallpox, resulting in around 50 to 80 million deaths. Smallpox was officially declared eradicated in 1980, as a result of a successful, global immunization program. The last natural case of smallpox occurred in Somalia in 1977. Today, the only known sources of smallpox are in 2 laboratories in the United States and Russia. Immunization against smallpox is no longer recommended due to the disease being eradicated. Number 2. Measles. Measles is a highly contagious viral disease that can have serious complications, including pneumonia, encephalitis, and even death. Prior to the development of a vaccine in the 1960s, measles was a leading cause of death and disability in children, especially in developing countries. Thanks to the widespread use of the measles vaccine, the disease was officially declared eradicated in the United States in 2000, with the last recorded cases occurring in 2002. The World Health Organization declared global eradication of measles in 2019, following a nearly 80% reduction in global measles deaths since 2000. This is largely attributed to successful vaccination campaigns and improved access to healthcare. In addition to reducing child mortality, measles eradication has also helped reduce the financial burden of medical care for families and healthcare systems. Number 3. Polio. Poliomyelitis, commonly known as polio, is a debilitating and potentially fatal infectious disease caused by a virus. Polio is most commonly spread through contact with the feces of an infected person, though it can also be spread through water and food contaminated with the virus. Polio can cause paralysis, cognitive impairment, and even death. Before the development of a vaccine in the 1950s, polio was a major public health issue, responsible for the deaths of millions of people, primarily children. Thanks to the successful development of a safe and effective vaccine, however, the number of polio cases has greatly decreased, and the disease has been virtually eradicated in many countries around the world. In 1988, the World Health Organization, WHO, launched a global initiative to eradicate polio, and since then, the number of cases has dropped from an estimated 350,000 in 1988 to just 37 reported cases in 2020. Although polio still exists in some parts of the world, it is no longer a major public health threat, and the WHO is optimistic that it can eventually be eradicated entirely. Number 4. Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is a dangerous infectious disease caused by a bacteria known as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is most commonly spread through the air when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or speaks. This disease was once one of the leading causes of death worldwide, but due to advancements in medicine and public health, it has been largely eradicated in most countries. Vaccines are now available to help protect against the disease, and organizations like the World Health Organization, WHO, have worked to raise awareness and promote education on how to prevent the spread of tuberculosis. Treatment for the disease often includes a combination of drugs to help eliminate the bacteria, though the length of treatment can vary depending on the person's overall health. With proper treatment, the disease can be cured and the person's health can be restored. Number 5. Diphtheria. Diphtheria is an infectious disease caused by the bacterium Corynebacterium diphtheriae. It is characterized by a sore throat, low-grade fever, and an adherent membrane on the tonsils, pharynx, and/or nasal cavity. The disease can also cause airway obstruction and even death in severe cases. Before the advent of modern vaccines, diphtheria was a major cause of death in children worldwide. Fortunately, due to global immunization efforts, diphtheria has been largely eradicated in developed countries. Vaccines are now widely available and recommended for children in most countries. In countries where access to vaccines is not widely available, diphtheria continues to be a serious public health problem. Number 6. Whooping cough. Whooping cough, also known as pertussis, is a highly contagious bacterial infection of the lungs and airways. It was first recognized in the 16th century, and it was once a major cause of death in young children. The disease was particularly dangerous for infants, who often suffered from violent coughing fits that could lead to vomiting, choking, and even death. Fortunately, an effective vaccine was developed in the 1940s that drastically reduced the incidence of whooping cough. In most developed countries, the disease is now considered to be eradicated, and its incidence among vaccinated populations is very low. However, in some parts of the world, there are still outbreaks of whooping cough due to a lack of vaccination. Number 7. Meningitis. Meningitis is a dangerous infectious disease that affects the membranes of the brain and spinal cord. It is caused by a variety of viruses, bacteria, and fungi. In the past, bacterial meningitis was especially dangerous and could lead to severe illness and death, especially in children and young adults. However, since the introduction of vaccines, the risk of contracting bacterial meningitis has been greatly reduced. Vaccines are available for some of the most common causes of bacterial meningitis, including Haemophilus influenzae type B, HIV, and Streptococcus pneumonia. Thanks to these vaccines, the incidence of meningitis has declined significantly in countries where the disease was once common. Number 8. Typhoid fever. Typhoid fever is a bacterial infection caused by the Salmonella typhi bacteria. It is a serious and potentially fatal infection that was common across the world until the 20th century. Symptoms of typhoid fever include fever, abdominal pain, headache, constipation or diarrhea, and a rash. It is spread through contaminated food or water and can be treated with antibiotics. Fortunately, due to improvements in sanitation and clean water, the prevalence of typhoid fever has drastically declined and it is now considered an eradicated disease in many parts of the world. However, the disease is still present in areas with poor sanitation, and it is estimated that 21 million people worldwide are still infected every year. Number 9. Mumps. Mumps is a contagious viral infection that was once a common childhood disease. It is spread through saliva and direct contact, and symptoms typically include fever, fatigue, headache, and swollen, tender salivary glands under the ears. In rare cases, mumps can cause serious complications, such as meningitis, deafness, and swelling of the testicles or ovaries. However, due to the widespread use of the mumps vaccine, the virus has been almost completely eradicated in the US and most developed countries. In fact, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, declared mumps to be eliminated in the U.S. in 2000. This means that the virus is no longer native to the U.S., although it can still be brought in from other countries. Number 10. Rubella. Rubella, commonly known as German measles, is a dangerous disease that was once widespread in many parts of the world, especially among young children. While the infection is usually mild, it can have serious health implications for unborn babies when contracted during pregnancy. Fortunately, due to widespread vaccination, rubella has been all but eradicated in most countries. In the United States, for example, the last major outbreak of rubella occurred in 1964 and since then, less than a dozen cases have been reported. In fact, in 2004 the United States declared that rubella had been eliminated from the country, as well as from much of the world. However, the disease is still a threat in some parts of the world, including some parts of South America, Africa, and Asia. It is important to be aware of the risk posed by rubella, and to vaccinate against it to ensure it does not make a resurgence. Number 11. Tetanus. Tetanus is an infection caused by the bacterium Clostridium tetani. It often affects the muscles and nerves, leading to painful muscle spasms, lockjaw, and difficulty breathing. Tetanus was once a very serious disease, but it has been largely eradicated thanks to the wide availability of vaccinations. Vaccination has greatly reduced the number of cases around the world and made it possible for many countries to achieve elimination of the disease. In the United States, only about 25 to 50 cases of tetanus are reported each year. The majority of cases occur in people who did not receive a full series of vaccinations against tetanus, or who did not receive booster shots every 10 years. To protect against tetanus, it is important to get a tetanus vaccination, and to receive booster shots every 10 years.
Hey there, thanks for watching this video about dangerous diseases that were eradicated. We hope that you've learned something new and that you'll come back for more curious facts from around the world. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tap the bell icon to stay up to date with all our content. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.